Hey, resource gatherers, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Enshrouded. Episode 3, Into the Shroud to Forge Armor. Well, this place is cozy, alright. A good roof will let me get proper work done. See what I can craft for you. Alright. I'll craft up some nails. And I'll craft up a scrappy sword. You guys wanted me to improve my gear, so I now have a sword. If you want me to have, like, more gear, feel free to vote for it. So the poll's up. And he is informing me that I can also make a glider. Craft a glider at the workbench. So that's a new quest.
Is that it?
Alright, weapon. Let's reorganize the bar here. So this does 16 damage, this is 14. I'll use the sword I made and salvage that. Now in terms of my own gear, my own weapons don't increase like his does, or like the ones you find do. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so the raw building materials I'll put here. I'm not going to do a whole lot of organization, but just like the bare minimums. Looks like I need to cook some meat. And we'll do meat, berries, and water as standard diet. Cheers! Alright, you guys say my choice. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to get slightly better gear before I go anywhere scary. So let's go chat him up to see what he needs to improve our gear. So, I think a forge would be a very reasonable thing to work towards. So build a kiln and forge is going to be my current priority to see what kind of gear he can make with both. With that end, or to that end, I would also, oops, wrong thing, would like to give him a little workshop right outside his home. So now he has a place for me to put down like a kiln and forge and the like. I'm gonna make it a little bit larger. And then I know that the kiln required 20 stone. Which I'm pretty sure I already have, given that I have like 30 stone on me at least. Perfect. So talking to him, he makes the kiln. I don't. Requires him. And where's the front? All right, here's the front. So I'm going to put the kiln here. Switch between recipes you have unlocked for this factory here. Add available ingredients. You can also track progress. And then the output inventory down there. And shortcuts for moving things. So if I wanted to make charcoal, I need to put in wood logs and sprinkling dirt. So let's make our first batch of charcoal. Which is 17 logs, 3 dirt. Because making a forge requires charcoal. So my dirt's in here. I don't really know where my logs are. And eventually, once I get larger boxes, I'll bother with, like, actual organization. But I'm not too worried about that now. Alright, so we have our first batch of charcoal. Will be done in 5 minutes. And in order to make a forge, I need 10 charcoal.
Never let the coals die.
And this thing is making 15, so I will have enough. On top of that, for the rest of the forge, we need 10 metal scrap, 12 logs, and 30 stone. So let's start to collect that. So I already got the metal scrap. I don't have the wood logs. And I don't yet have the stone. No, I do have the stone. I take that back. So we just need the wood logs. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to stockpile up some more charcoal, because 15 charcoal is really not going to be enough in the scheme of things. And I haven't been to this well in a bit, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to grab some more water. Now, he did have other recipes that I immediately had access to, like the fur level stuff. So we can also check in with him about that gear that he can make. I don't know how much of his gear requires string and torn cloth, but as I mentioned before, you can get like resources from just about anything. So if you're ever lacking something, just smash stuff you find in villages, because it's a pretty infinite source of random, not necessarily high quality, but loot. So, let's queue up enough. Let's put 14 logs in there. So, split stack. And then take out 7 dirt. So we have exactly what we need for 2 batches of charcoal in there already. And I have enough resources left for the forge once that's done. So then the things that you can make immediately without a forge is the fur hoods. And I do have the animal fur, but I think it's probably, my 2 cents, worth waiting for the forge to be done before we decide to commit to one armor set over another. So what I want to do is build a forge and farm metal. So I'm going to poke about the immediate areas. Metal can be found in towns, and especially scavenger camps, but even these enemies can drop metal occasionally too. And looting metal and torn cloth and other resources from these guys can be really handy in like build progress. Come on. So, I should have put a timer down, but basically I'm, like, doing stuff until the first batch of charcoal's done. Ooh, a ring of health. I like regen more than base stats, so I'm equipping the health ring and the stamina ring over the one that just gives me, like, base stats. I don't think I've fully explored the town I live next to. So let's poke around there. Well, first I'll figure out how much more time we have left for that first batch of charcoal. And we'll poke around there a little bit more. Rylan, thank you for the resub. And you're welcome for all the content. Cheers. Oh, we already have the charcoal. Well, I'll be. So I just unlocked the recipe of wood acid. So if I browse the recipes, we can make wood acid, charcoal, or tar. It wouldn't be a bad idea for me to eventually get at least a batch of wood acid and a batch of tar so that I have a concept of what they lead to. But let's go and get our forge up from the blacksmith. So here's the blacksmithing forge. And this thing takes metal scraps and charcoal to make metal sheets. So I will put 2 in, because I don't necessarily want to use up all my metal scraps for this. To see what recipes unlock when we get our metal sheets. So in 2 minutes, we'll have our first metal sheets to see what our armor options are, and then I'll have you guys decide what armor set I commit to. If you're wondering, using the corresponding tool, like in this case, a wood cutting axe for like wooden palisade walls, is the ideal tool to break this stuff down. With that said, it's a palisade. It's tanky kind of on purpose. So it's not easy to get through that stuff with low level 2 tools, but you know, it is the ideal all the same. Ooh, health potions. I like that. You wish you could free aim with wands? Yeah, me too. Well, you can sort of free aim with like right click, but you don't get a reticle. And then as soon as you cast, you get a reticle, which is like not super helpful at that point because you're already casting it. I wish it was a little easier to free aim wands. With the staves, you can free aim. And I did say that I wanted a staff, but I don't have any resin yet. Resin is a pretty easy resource to get, however. You just get it from trees. Falling to ruin. I'll read that in a second because I'm about to get jumped. We held a hope digging through the rubble. Our lips whispered prayers to the ancients. Always watchful eyes towards the horizon. Even in this furthest corner of the world, the shroud threatens to engulf us all and seal away any ray of hope. As the air grew thick with the cursed fog, we held on. As fires raged on the horizon, ash falling like snow on the howling peak, we pushed harder. May this home, long kept, usher us into a bright age. Well, it didn't help you guys, but it might help me. The shroud looms. The blue jays no longer drift so carelessly through the air. Something is changing. A nebula flows towards us, spring from the abyss like a tidal wave. They call it the Shroud. It carries disease and suffering, changes soil and people. I must understand this madness, but discovering a remedy will be difficult with supply lines cut off by the soldiers. Balthazar. So some of the Shroud resources, like this thing, okay, rude. It didn't actually give me resources. But some of it will grant you resources. Oh, you're in the way. Which can be important for, like, crafting and the like. Oh, pick. There we go. More bandages and arrows. I'm sure those metal plates are done, so let's get back home. Oh, and you can fast travel, you can ping. In this case, I just like fast traveled. I'm lazy. I could have walked the 100 meters, but this is faster. And there we go. Metal sheets for the first time. And that should unlock, there we go. The Rising Fighter set, as well as a better shield. So the questions for you guys, what should I do? If you want me to make better gear, feel free to vote for it. So in order to make this gear, I need animal fur, resin, aerated banshee gel. And fortunately, for more of the rare resources, it will tell you exactly where to get it. So I would need to kill banshees in the shroud. Active mycelium, which is mined in the Springland Shroud. More banshee gel. Shroud liquid, which I already have a little bit of. Mycelium, which is mined in the shroud. And it does seem like that is what you guys want me to work on. So let's do it. I'm going to empty my pockets of stuff. So what I'm going to do is work on my first armor set. Make my first armor set. That is the priority. I saw how that was going. So first things first, we are going to want more metal sheets. So if I don't need the full list because I know I have a lot to loot, but 1 metal sheet there, 3, 5, 7, 8 metal sheets. I have 1 already, so that's 7 metal sheets or 14 metal scraps. I have only 7 metal scraps, so we need a lot more metal scraps in order to do it, in other words. And because the individual metal sheets take, I wouldn't say a long time, but they take some time, like that's something to work towards immediately. And then some of the other resources that we need to be considerate of, resin, which we get from trees, animal fur. So taking a look at the animal fur that we have so far, we have 6. So getting more animal fur is going to be important. We have 0 resin, but I know where resin is, so that's not too hard, but we do need to make an effort of getting it. Here's the shroud liquid that we need for one of the recipes, so that is at least already done. And I'm going to put away stuff I don't immediately need on me. So any of the relevant resources, I'll carry on me. And I'll pin, you can only pin one thing at a time, but I'll pin the chest piece as just like a point of reference.
Now get back out there.
So I guess I'll carry the string, because string is going to be another thing that we need a whole lot of. So we're looking for metal sheets, active mycelium, regular mycelium, the aerated banshee gel. As you can see, we'll be able to make the Rising Fighter trousers as soon as that metal sheet is done, because I have all the requisite materials for that. So it's resin, mycelium, active mycelium, and the aerated banshee gel is primarily what we're looking for. And I'll make my first pair of pants as soon as this batch is done, because that will give me a little bit of armor boost. And the other thing I mentioned is I ought to get more charcoal, because we're going to need more charcoal anyway. So I'll make a batch of charcoal while we wait. Would not be a bad idea for me to also have invest a little bit of time to make these scrappy resource collections that he has here. The thing is, I don't have metal scraps or shroud wood, but that should be pretty high up on my priority list as well, because that will allow me to do resource collection more easily, which is kind of a big deal, because, like, mining sucks to have to grind through slowly. If I have any complaints about this game, I have a few, but one such complaint would be mining raw resources like copper or tin, stuff like that, takes a long time. It is not a quick process, so the best possible tools for it are helpful. Plus, there is Mason. Your pickaxe does more damage, so like Mason leads to other skills which can help, like miner. But even still, mining is a kind of a slow thing, as you'll see soon. Okay, so we have 2 batches of charcoal going. Topping up my food and water. And then let's go back into the shroud and try to get the active mycelium, more metal sheets, more resin. If you're, so little tip, if you're looking for resin, resin can drop from any tree, but it is far more likely to drop from, like, orange trees. So we should be on the lookout for trees with, like, orange leaves. Can your villagers collect resources for you? No. There was talk in the development plan of, like, villagers... So there's different types of villagers. There's, craftspeople, assistants, and, like, actual villagers. There was talk about villagers eventually helping you like that, but, like, currently, no. They do crafting for you, but they don't gather resources. You're basically the only resource gatherer. So I don't need any more Shroud liquid. Oh, you know what? I, like, never made those pants. Whatever. I'm not going back. So let's collect the Mycelium and active Mycelium that are part of the resources. So active Mycelium is the really glowy stuff. This stuff. And then the regular Mycelium is the mushrooms that don't glow. I forget how much regular Mycelium I need, but I do see that my active Mycelium is 25, so we can grab 25 of that. I think the regular stuff was like 5 or 10, which shouldn't be too hard to acquire. And that tree I cut down earlier, these little, like, glowing spores are also active Mycelium. So you can collect it either way. You can cut down these things, which usually drop... Okay, again, usually they drop 1 active Mycelium when you harvest them. Sometimes it, like, clips into the ground or it doesn't drop it or whatever. But generally speaking, it does. Come on, don't prove me wrong. Why so rude? Where is my active Mycelium? Well, whatever. I'll just... Oh, jeez! Didn't mean to fall. I'll just mine for it anyway. Yeah, you're gonna drop me your active Mycelium whether you want it to or not. I demand it. There it goes. Yeah, there we go. See? Active Mycelium. I wasn't lying to you. Just, apparently it's not 100% drop rate. Now, interestingly, we can regain rested time by just, like, digging a little cave like this, pulling out our torch. We can only go up to, like, 5 minutes of it. But, if you are not near a home and you want some rested time, just, like, dig yourself a hole and pull out a torch and you're, like, better than nothing, at least. And we are keeping an eye on our Enshrouded time. The game will warn you when you're getting close to the timeout. So the game will be like, yo, it's time to, like, seek shelter or you're gonna die. So I won't stay here until I'm dead, don't worry. And then, of course, the more difficult one to acquire is the aerated Banshee Gel, because the aerated Banshee Gel, of course, requires us to kill Banshees, which are, mini-bosses? I wouldn't really call them bosses, but they're elite units. Maybe that's a better term for them. So at 2 minutes, your Enshrouded warning time will warn you that you're getting close to your time remaining. And then at 1 minute, it tells you to get the hell out, as you'll see in the top of the screen here. Enshrouded, caution. Yep, because I'm low on time. Don't forget the shrouded wood for tools. Yep. I just wanted to get the 25 active first before I break my pick. Or not, because, like, I'm almost out of time. Come on, just give me one more. Okay, I'm gonna start walking out. There we go. Alright, I think... Let's see. Yay, active Mycelium's done. All right, next is Shroud wood. It's not special, just any tree in the Shroud just about will give you Shroud wood. Some of the trees that look more like mushrooms give you a different resource, but Shroud wood is not uncommon, in other words. It's common as hell. So I already have all the Shroud wood I needed. Let's go and return. I like how I unlocked a recipe for someone called the Alchemist. I haven't met that yet, but sure. Let's return back to see what other resources we need besides the aerated Banshee gel. If I have enough regular Mycelium already. Oh, and speaking of returns, you cannot fast travel when you're in the Shroud, but as soon as you're outside the Shroud, you can fast travel. So we're back. Taking a look. I don't have the metal scraps for the pick or axe. I do have the pants already, so pants are done. For the helmet, we need sheets, resin, animal fur, string, and gels. I already have all the regular Mycelium. Got it. So, equip. Now, there's two equipment options. One is actual equipment, one is cosmetic. So if I equip my threadbare pants as cosmetic, my character will look the same with the threadbare pants, but I functionally will be benefiting from, you know, the actual trousers. And if you ever want to change your cosmetics, you can go into our menu, customize appearance, and, you know, just unequip your cosmetic pants. Which, at this point, like my threadbare ones, I don't even really need. I'm going to throw out. Alright, other things that I wanted to do is, although it's not part of my individual equipment, I wanted a little backpack, which is here. So, let's make one of those so that I have a little bit more storage. Again, in my inventory, I can equip the tiny backpack for 8 more slots, which is going to be pretty helpful. Other recipes I've unlocked. So, I think that's it for now. So, I can use Mycelium overgrown blocks now if I wanted to, like, make my village look like it was part of the Shroud, which would be weird, but, like, an option. All the same. Everything else I have on me is fine. So let's go pin the chest piece again. And we'll be going into the Shroud looking for those resources. I also think it would be a good idea for me to drop... me to go through the Shroud over to where Rookmore was, and for me to drop an altar over there. So that I can fast travel to the other side. Because at my current level, I can have up to 2 altars, and an altar only costs 5 stone. So altars are, like, free as hell, and you can think of them as just, like, fast travel flags. You know, outside of the one you're building in your town. So I have 2 more metal sheets, and with these 2 additional metal sheets, I don't think that actually gets me any new equipment. Because the helmet and the gloves require aerated Banshee gel, the chest piece requires resin that I don't even have, and the boots require resin I don't have. So at this point, I could just, like, cut down a whole lot of trees for a really terrible resin drop rate. But honestly, it's going to be in my best benefit for me to find the... for frustration's sake, to find the trees that, like, actually drop resin decently, which isn't really in the starting area. Again, oh, yeah, here's one. This orange tree. This, like, autumn tree, if you will. This is where resin drops. There are 2 resin. Which is... if I had 1 more metal sheet, it would be enough for the Rising Fighter chest. And I am missing 1 metal scrap for that, which I think is not an unreasonable thing to find in the fog. So we could try for that next. Oh, and there's another yellow tree over there, or orange tree or whatever. Resin tree, I'm just going to call them now. So they are, I don't know the exact drop rates off the top of my head, because I don't memorize games like that. But like the regular trees have like a 10% chance to drop resin or something like that. So if you cut down a whole lot of them, you'll inevitably get resin. But the nicer, these trees have a much higher drop rate. Like basically guaranteed to drop one or more. So if you're really seeking resin, look for those autumny trees. And we almost have enough resin for the boots. Or actually I have 6 resin. Yeah, we have enough resin for the boots already. Let's see if there is a source of... If there's like metal scrap somewhere in this village that I could bust up. Oh, and there's a point of interest over here I hadn't actually seen. Oh no, that's a save point. Never mind. If you're wondering, metal scrap is not a particularly rare resource. You'll end up with like stacks and stacks and stacks of it and have nothing to do with it and end up throwing it out. These are not... It's just that I'm like... It's early game. So I'm poor as hell and need every last ounce of everything that I could possibly get my hands on. This isn't like a reasonable assessment of resource scarcity for mid to late game. Mid to late game, you're like swimming in this stuff. Even early game, you end up swimming with in metal scrap, as long as you're like killing things and picking it up. Yep, there's some metal scrap. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get the Rising Fighter chest piece, and then I'll work on getting the other pieces of the set. And Krieg, thank you for the resub. Yeah, early game troubles indeed. Realistically, I don't need to be eating meat, like, outside. So there is a difficulty setting where you'll, like, starve if you don't eat. But, like, I don't have that on by default because it's not enabled by default. But I really don't need to be eating. It's just like a force of habit for me to be eating outside of combat. Because eating meat gives you a big HP boost for going into fights, but if you're not like actively in a fight, it's not all that helpful. So I don't think I have any string in here, meaning if I want... Well, never mind, I have all the string I need. So if I want that chest piece, I think I need one more animal fur. Because I already have the metal sheet going. I don't feel great about killing the goats here, but they'll respawn, so let's go find a goat. Or a wolf. There were wolves trying to eat me. I'd be happier killing the hostile wolves than the happy goats. Come on, wolfies. Where are you? If you're wondering, fireflies are crafting material. So you can collect fireflies or lunar moths. There's moths over there. And it's worth noting, like, collecting at least a little bit of everything is important, especially if it's a farmable crop. Without spoiling too much, most of the crops, most of the plants or whatever, like mushrooms, etc., you can farm in this game. And just having one, you can turn the 1 into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and then turn the 5 into 25, and then the 25 into, like, hundreds pretty quickly. So make sure that for those specific resources, like, you at least keep a few. Because if you, let's say you find a brand new flower, I'm going to make it up, you know, call it a daisy, and you use all your daisies for crafting, and then all of a sudden you need more daisies, you're screwed until you find new daisies. Again, daisies is just it's not a thing in the game, but my point being, keep some in reserve for farming so you don't end up with naught. Just a helpful tip. So we have the leather that we need. I'm sure the metal sheets are done, so let's go make the Rising Fighter chest piece. Question, do you want me to continue working on the gear for the Rising Fighter set, or do you want me to pivot? That will be up to you. There we go. We have 2 Rising Fighter pieces. So what I have left is a bunch of metal sheets for the gloves and the helmet, and then metal sheets and animal fur for the boots. The boots pretty close to getting, but not quite there yet. Again, complete lack of organization. Alright, you guys have it be my choice. Got it. I think I would like to clear the well. It would help if I spelled it right. There we go. Clear the elixir well. So I'm going to unpin the resources that I was working on. I'll still try to collect it while I'm in the Shroud, but they're not my top priority at the moment. Oh, yeah, here's the wolf. Also, there we go. Oh, no, they're not wolves. So there you can see with my new armor, these guys don't hurt so bad. Their damage per hit went... Oh, and we got a weapon. Almost certainly better than what I already have, so let's go equip it. So we went from getting hit like 50 per swing to like 18 per swing or something like that. This sword is a level 1, but it can be upgraded to level 3, so let's actually do some of the upgrade stuff, just so that you can see that for the first time too. I don't think the short sword's actually better than what I have, but I want to show you the upgrade process anyway. So bringing it over to him, we can go enhance equipment, and this sword gets poison damage when we upgrade it.
Is that it?
So if we take a look, it now does 15 damage, which is 13 base plus 2 poison. So it does cutting, piercing, shroud, and poison damage, a whole mix, whereas the... And actually, that's pretty similar to the weapon that I self-made, which does cutting, piercing, blunt, poison. In terms of the two, they're basically comparable to one another. It is, in my opinion, very handy to have at least 2 weapons that that you can use, because weapons break, or, you know, as long as you have durability enabled, weapons can break while you're, like, not near a repair bench, and it's very handy to be able to have a backup. I find in playtesting this game, like, I broke my weapons pretty regularly, so having 2 was really nice. 3 was, like, unnecessary. 2's fine. Unless you spend a lot of time away from home. But if you're using your flame altars as fast travel points, you can easily just drop a flame altar, return home, repair, warp back to the flame altar you dropped, and pick and destroy it, so that you can always have, like, one flame altar at the ready for like a repair. So the journal for the elixir well. The blacksmith wants us to fight against the shroud, and in order to do it, we need to go in an elixir well and destroy the root of this of the fog of the shroud. So that's what we're doing now. Morsina, thank you for the resub. Did I make this sacker bag? I did. It's not depicted on my body, though, but it's right here as backpack extension, which is giving me these 8 slots. Thank you for tuning in to Enshrouded, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timer to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow flameborn.